So welcome back, everyone. So we are discussing now Down syndrome. Yeah, you all got a shot of my socks. Yeah, you're supposed to, you're supposed to in support of the children, right? So I have later studio men. Make sure and get a picture of my socks. So we do have with us this morning Natalie Mohammed. She's the director of the Down Syndrome Family Network, to tell us about the 2024 Down Syndrome Conference being held this week. Or it has been held.
It has been held.
It has been held
yes.
already. All right, so before we discuss the conference that was held, let's speak a little bit about how serious is the issue of people who have Down syndrome in Trinidad and Tobago. I didn't want to say children, because it's not children
it's a
alone.
Society.
It's right, society. Yeah. So how serious is the problem in Trinidad and Tobago?
I wouldn't say it's a problem. I mean, having Down syndrome, it's just an intellectual disability, right? Yeah. And there's still parts of the country that doesn't know about the Down Syndrome Family Network. And we are trying our best to reach all ends of the island, because it's more so that the network was set up to give information or to help parents have the understanding to better be able to help their child to be as independent as possible and to be included into society.
Mm-hmm. How long has the network been around?
This year is 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what type of service is provided to families where you have a person with Down syndrome? Let's go more in depth into services, because as I was telling you, Ms. Mohammed, as a younger person, you would see people who would have had Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And I think that there was a bit of, I don't know how to describe it, but how do you deal? Deal may not be the right word. How do you relate? That may be a better word, a more sensitive word, to deal, to have relations with someone who has Down syndrome. So is it that sort of, there has been improvement because of organizations such as yours, that provides a level of education and also how to interact with that person, and so on, that person may have a more comfortable life, if I can put it that way?
I think what you're trying to say is, growing up, you would not have seen the appearance, because remember, with Down syndrome, unlike other disabilities, it's more physical. So you can see somebody outright having Down syndrome. So therefore you would know that, okay, because of their physical appearance and certain physical features, you would be like, okay, they have Down syndrome. Yeah. Growing up, you would not have seen as much persons with Down syndrome in society, because parents, having a child with a disability is a stigma, which we are trying to break daily. They would think that they would get these stares, or maybe the child might have sudden outbursts, or the individual, and they were not integrated into society. Parents would have shunned away from taking them out into public and kept them locked inside. For lack of better words, they would have kept them locked inside because they didn't want the staring, or they didn't want, oh my God, look at that child, or whatever. But now, as we're getting older and things are changing, and yes, because of networks like my own and the previous ones that was instituted, we are trying to break that stigma. We are trying to show that there's more to them. They have ability other than their physical appearance, or you may think that they have a disability. So now we are trying to educate the parents. Okay, so no, you don't have to hide them away, and they are capable. They are capable of doing much more. And if it is that you set the standard high, because like typical children, you have a child growing up, they do something wrong, what would you do? Leave them? You would correct them. same as a person with disability. You correct them. So therefore, when it is that you go into society, you would not have that outburst, because this is how you are growing up your child, to be independent, to be included, because that is what you want for them. So we are trying to encourage parents to do that. So now, more so than before, you would see that happening. You would see them involved in different activities. You'll go to the mall, you'll go out for dinner. You know, you would see persons with their children out in public. Other than back then, you would not have seen that.
Yeah, so there are better systems in place now. And we can be honest, Ms. Mohammed, I think that people felt uncomfortable because they just did not know how to react. Yeah, and I'm sure that would have impacted the people who had Down syndrome too. It was just an uncomfortable situation for everybody.
Yeah, well, you can't really blame society as much.
Yes.
Because growing up, did you have somebody with Down syndrome in your class?
No.
Were they included in anything?
Yeah.
So therefore, you were not able to grow up with that person.
Yes.
But now if they are included in the classroom environment, and you see them from a child growing into an adult, they're in the supermarkets, they have jobs, they're in the workplace, it's not going to be anything new for you. So therefore, the stigma, the staring would not be there. So therefore, you need to involve persons not only with Down syndrome but other disabilities into the environment, include them, so that therefore when they get older, we are all aware, we are all understanding, we have that thinking now how to deal, cope, talk to them like normal, treat them like everybody else.
Yeah. We discussed earlier there are different levels how individuals are affected.
Okay, yeah. Well, Down syndrome is an intellectual disability.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't mean that they don't understand. It just takes, from a teacher's perspective, because I'm a special educator by profession, as versus from my job spec, being a special educator versus the typical schools or regular teacher, it just takes a little more time, a little more visuals, sounds, more hands-on work, right? It doesn't mean that they can't learn a little more repetition. So it's not that they can't learn, they just learn at a different pace than the typical child. But they can. And if it is that you include them and you get them to be involved, you have early intervention, that is the word I was looking for, early intervention, you are not going to have that problem when they get older, because you started from young. You started to adapt to different things. Yeah.
How do we get our society to... Because you did mention this level of people still staring at people who have Down syndrome. How do we as a society become more sensitive?
For one, today is World Down Syndrome Day, and we usually have lots of socks campaign. Everybody's doing it. Everybody say, yes, it's the day for Down syndrome, and we wearing the socks. But do you really know why or what is the purpose of it? So society knows it to a point, because they only know it for today, because it has become more of a fashion statement than what it's actually meant to do. You know, it's to educate persons. So I would say now, yes, they are more aware because of the socks campaign. But to get society not to stare, I could say that they're a little more sensitized because of the campaign now. So they're more aware of it. And if it is that we continue to put persons with Down syndrome into positions that they are in the eyes of persons, they wouldn't have that, because they would see that, okay, they're more than their physical disability.
Yes.
They will be like they're more capable of doing things.
Yeah, every day should be Down syndrome day. And I mean that when it comes to placing the focus on people who have Down syndrome, right?
Just inclusion, inclusion.
Let's speak about that, inclusion. Have we as a society been including people with Down syndrome more and more, you think?
Yes, of lately, over the last few years now, yes, we are. I have seen that they are making changes. They are doing things to include persons with Down syndrome because as a network that I represent, we are fighting for persons to have jobs, to be included in school, to be included in everything. And it's not just that you have a job and say, okay, this person has Down syndrome and we're putting them here to say that we're giving a person with a job. No, they have to be gainfully employed. They have to be able to work properly for that job and not just collect a paycheck. We don't want somebody just to show a face and meet and greet. No, they have to be included in all aspects. What is the job spec of the job, and for them to be there, and this is your position, this is your responsibilities.
Yeah. But how has that fight been going? Have organizations, have they been opening up their arms to that concept?
They are. Right now, the founder of the network, Mr. Glenn Niles, his son is gainfully employed with Detour. Also, Detour has had inclusive fashion shows that they included persons with Down syndrome into. They were heavily involved in the Lots of Socks campaign with us every year. We have other self-advocates who were gainfully employed at IMAX, at Central Bank, at Republic Bank. So there are availabilities now, and companies are coming towards us to get to have positions to be filled for persons with Down syndrome. Yeah. But as we were talking about before, a long time ago, parents didn't see the need to educate their child to be independent, to be able to be more than what society made them think that their child would have been. Yeah. So they didn't bring them up in that way. So now we are trying to change the mindset of the parents coming up to have their children be educated, to have their children be included in everything, because you don't want that your child doesn't have a life, because that's what they thought. They wouldn't have a life beyond. They are more capable of that. And I always tell parents, set the benchmarks high and let your child reach it, and then set it higher.
Yes.
And that's the only way that they're going to succeed.
Yeah. Let's talk about the recent conference. What was it meant to achieve?
We at our conference, because today is World Down Syndrome Day, we usually have the conference on the 21st,
right,
the same day as World Down Syndrome Day. But it's SCA.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And because it's SCA, we invite teachers, we invite students. It was conflicting, one. And two, one of our self-advocates, Rochelle, she's writing SCA, and she has Down syndrome. So they could reach to a point that they could get there. Mm-hmm. Don't think that they can't. They can, right? So we had to switch dates. So therefore, we had to move up the dates for the conference. So we had the conference on the 19th in the Hyatt, and we had it yesterday in Tobago.
Right.
The conference was wonderful. Our guest speaker, Nicole Flynn. I mean, if whoever missed it, they missed it. Right? Be sure to come to our workshops, our conferences, because she was such a great speaker. She was powerful. She was commanding, and she showed the abilities, what you're capable of. And our conference is more so to show society and to show persons, our stakeholders, these are what persons are capable of. This is what they could do. This is her speaking, because she's an advocate for persons with Down syndrome, and she's giving the message that set the benchmark high, show that you are powerful, show your capabilities.
Yeah. Are there children, or are there much children who have Down syndrome in the public school system? Or is it that it's a situation where you have to get specialized training for people?
I would not say that you have to get specialized training.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, it's a little more work.
Yes.
And because the typical schools, it's fast-paced, and teachers may find it hard to accommodate a child with a disability because you need to get a curriculum done, you need to get it done in a certain time. We do have children with Down syndrome in the public schools.
Yeah.
For now, it's just a few, but we are pushing for more parents to get their children involved.
But how has that worked?
Oh, it's working good because, as I said, Rochelle is in Standard 5 and she's writing essay.
Right.
So she is an advocate on her own because she has her own business. She is a baker, and she's writing. She's in the system and she's writing essay. So she's advocating and saying and showing the other parents now, your child could do this too. Because if she could do it, their child could do it.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm asking that question is because I know how we can be. We can be very insensitive sometimes. We could be frustrated sometimes by what sometimes we don't understand and we don't know what to do. So that was the reason why I asked that question about children in the public school system. But if parents, families do have within their families people who have Down syndrome, and we spoke about your organization that provides that level of help to the families as to cope. And you see, I'm having difficulty because I want to say the sensitive things, because I don't really like using words like cope and so on.
Yeah.
Because I think to say words like that, I am giving the impression that there is a problem. Exactly. And I don't want to give that impression that there is a problem. You have a member of your family who has Down syndrome. There may be challenges, and we have to find ways of dealing with it. Yeah? So there are greater mechanisms in place now to assist families.
As a network, the network was instituted, it was established, by Glenn Nichols.
Yes.
And he, together with a group of parents, came and they found as a network.
Yes.
Right? He founded that and they established that network. Now, this network, because he went away and he went to conferences and he saw that the capabilities of persons with Down syndrome and what was happening there, and it wasn't happening here. And with his knowledge now and the other parents, they know that the struggles that they had to bring their child to what they are now. And the parents now, whatever issues or things that may come up that they need advice on, they come to the network. That's why we have the conference. That's why we have workshops, quarterly workshops, because it's a group of parents and we are educating them and we are giving them the helping hand now for them to help their child with Down syndrome. It's not only for parents, it's for caregivers, it's for teachers, it's for everybody who is in close contact or would be of assistance to persons with Down syndrome. So if it is that I may have had a child with Down syndrome and I was having some issues finding a dental institute that I could take that understands to how to deal with a person with Down syndrome, the network is there. It had parents who took their children to the dentist.
How can people get in contact with the network?
They could find us on Facebook, Instagram, all social media, TikTok, YouTube, subscribe, follow us to keep updated on what is happening, to keep updated on upcoming events, things like that. And if it is that you need further assistance, send us a message and we'll get back to you on how we can help. Also, if you are interested in volunteering, I'm the volunteer coordinator, shoot me a message on there and join. help, because it takes a society, right? Pretty much it takes a society, not just one individual, and we are trying to advocate for all.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, Ms. Mohammed, it was a pleasure speaking with you this morning. It's a work in progress, right?
It is. It is. But we have come a long way.
Yeah, and that's good to know that we have come a long way. Thank you very much, Ms. Mohammed. Yeah?
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, so we go to a very short break. We do have The Sunrise for you from Maruga, and it's submitted by Dave C. Mirage. Dave, a beautiful picture. Thank you very much. We're coming back, everybody.